Hello everyone, this is Cherif Medawar. I'm so glad you got to join me here on the commercial real estate series, and I'm going to focus tonight on apartment buildings. So get a pen and a paper and let's get busy. The Commercial Roundtable event is an event I've done and I continue to do every now and then in different parts of the country. I focus mainly on California when I've started the program, and it's really getting the students to participate, a very interactive program. We put roundtables and we got everybody to actually interact with me on following the facts system. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. And those that follow the facts system are able to apply it to acquire commercial properties or assign them or take them to another level. So I want to start by using the DCBA formula, which is the definition, the concept, the business model, and the application for success. So let's talk about the definition of an apartment building, or the multi-units, if you will. These are properties that consist of 5 or more units. You see, if you're going to a duplex, threeplex, or fourplex, you go to a residential loan. As soon as you go 5 units plus, the lenders, the banks send you to the commercial loan division. They're called apartment buildings or multifamily. It's a type of commercial property used by renters to occupy and sleep in on a monthly basis or yearly tenancy. And all other types of commercial properties are used to conduct business. Apartment buildings it's like residential, but en masse, just getting from 5 units plus. And I think a good critical mass, keep that in mind, you may want to write this down, 25 units is usually pretty good. You can afford the manager, you can get some good return, etc. But it depends on the part of the country where you get it. What's the concept? Well, a lot of people prefer to rent because they either can't afford to own a condo or a house, or they just don't want to buy a condo or a house. I mean, heck, those that rented in 2005 and 6 are ahead of the game today because they can buy the same properties they didn't buy before at an advantage at a lower price. So people rent usually on a short-term basis, and long-term is usually just a year. So residential rental is not that long. So what's the business model we're going to follow is the FACT system. The FACT system, the F is to find the property. You want to find a great deal, and you want to find some terrific tenants. You also want to analyze, so the A is to analyze the numbers of the property. So what is the cash flow, what is the potential, etc., and the trend in the area, and what's driving that trend. And the C is to control. Now, if you found a good property, analyze the numbers, and they make sense, you want to control it. You want to negotiate the deal and put it under contract. That's how you gain control. And then the T is to time the process of the due diligence you're going to do to inspect the property, make sure also you get the right financing. You got to time the financing to close. And then the S is to strategize. And you strategize in 2 ways. You strategize by managing the property profitably and by taking it to its highest and best use. You see, if you're going to assign the deal, then you just find it, analyze the numbers, and time the process of assigning it. Then let somebody else look at what you've got, look at the numbers, and say, okay, I'll get the financing, or I'll pay cash, or I'll make it happen. Your strategy will be to just assign and move on. So how do you apply this and succeed? Well, you got to learn how to get a shortcut to success. I am for the people that use mentors, taking action with some phone coaching or field mentorship with experts that are experienced, and they have done it, they have a proven track record, they applied my system successfully, is key to having the shortcut to success. That is not to say that you always need to have a mentor or a coach to do it. I mean, some of you maybe have already residential experience and you want to scale that and you want to do it on your own. So I'm hoping that all my trainings, my live events, and webinars like this could help you go to the next level. But I can't tell you how many people, especially Canadians lately, I don't know why, have been asking for field mentorship and phone coaching. They want to go to Florida, buy properties, they want to go to Texas and buy properties, and they need somebody to take them by the hand. So if you want the shortcut to apply and make it happen successfully, we are with you along the way, and we make it happen in many different ways. So Let's talk about the benefits, and then I'll also talk about the disadvantages, so you can see the pros and the cons for apartment buildings. Well, the benefit is they're cheaper to acquire because they have income. So the property helps you to qualify. So the lender is not looking at you that much. They're looking at, okay, how many units, how many are occupied, what's the history of tenancy, what's the property making, what are the expenses. That really helps you a great deal. Number two, they're easier to finance. A lot of lenders prefer them because if you lose one or two renters, you still got the rest of the building occupied. And all commercial lenders, all commercial banks, no exception, understand apartment buildings. They have dealt with them, they like them, they have them in the neighborhoods, etc. Number three, they're easier to structure. Usually creative financing is very common. You have a lot of sophisticated investors that own these type of properties, and you can work deals with them. So I like the creative financing part of it. And generally, there is a good trend. I mean, if the market is good, apartment buildings go up. The market is bad, people getting foreclosed on, they move out, they become renters. So every now and then you have a hiccup in the market. Well, it's your time to jump in and buy one. But the general trend right now is very good for apartment buildings. Number five is lower risk. Again, we said more units, the more units, the better. But you have to understand the critical mass. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. Number six, the benefit is month-to-month or long-term leases, and that gives you some flexibility to change the prices if the market picks up, if a new employer comes in the area. So that could be a benefit. Number seven, potential immediate upside increase in value. You can take an apartment building, make some immediate changes, cut expenses on utilities, cut expenses with the trash you pick up of this and that, improve the property, the layout, just do some immediate changes, increase rent a little bit, increase occupancy, and guess what? 30, 40 days later, you got a pro forma. That means looking down the road, down the next 12 months, you have a future income that's higher than what you acquired the property at. So there is a multiplier. The property increases in value based on the net income you're adding. And if it's if you've done the work in 40 days, you can turn around, sell the property, and have a huge profit. Flipping apartment buildings, it's a fantastic way to make a lot of money. Number eight, steady income stream. Heck, even if when you're trying to flip it, as you look for somebody to buy it from you, you're having income coming. And number nine, easier to resell. A lot of movement on apartment buildings all the time. Of all commercial properties, apartment buildings move the fastest. A lot of people do 1031 exchange from smaller one to a bigger one and so on. Number 10, there are plenty of management companies. There are small management companies, there are huge management companies, so it's not difficult to find somebody to help you. What's difficult is to choose the right company to help you, the right party, which we'll talk about that later. So then what are the disadvantages? Well, there are a lot of amateurs operating apartment buildings and a lot of first-time owners, so they don't keep the backup on the expenses or the income, so it feeds right into number two disadvantage, which is hard to know and verify exact expenses. I mean, how many times have you gone to an apartment building for sale and they say, well, we didn't really have any expenses on the maintenance? It's like, come on, how can you operate a building without the proper expenses and the proper backup? But a lot of amateurs are running them. Often the properties have deferred maintenance. You got a lot of people that just prefer to cut back on maintaining the buildings, and then they realize it's too late to do anything. It's going to cost a lot, so they want to sell the property. You got to watch for that. There are a lot of headaches with tenants. I am not crazy about dealing with mom and pop tenants because everything is drama and it's a difficult life, and if they can't pay the rent, you're in trouble. And there is number 5, there is a huge liability and exposure. Somebody falls, somebody sues you, somebody knows you're the owner, they want to go after you. Not that they can do much. I mean, usually you have the insurance, and there are many ways to do asset protections and be at a distance. Otherwise, nobody would own them. And there are many simple ways to do it. Actually, that's a whole different webinar and training I could do, and I've done before in the live trainings. But nevertheless, it's still a big liability and exposure for apartment buildings. Then also number 6 is this too much competition. You're competing with single-family homes. You're competing with condos trying to rent. You're competing with other apartment buildings. So it's a lot of competition. And number 7, there are too many laws. I tell you, every state has different way to evict. different way to serve people. I mean, some of the toughest laws for tenants are in Texas. I think that's why they came up with these bumper stickers, don't mess with Texas. I mean, somebody doesn't pay you in Texas, 30 days later they could be evicted. But it could take up to 90 days. It could take up to 6 months. So there are a lot of laws, and you got to know the laws. There are a lot of free hotlines, so it's not like you have to retain a lawyer at all times. A lot of free services around the country for to find out the right answers and and really stay on the cutting edge of what's happening. There is apartment owner associations you can belong to, etc., to stay on top of the laws. Number 8, it's capital intensive to keep up. You have a building, you have people not owning it, so they abuse it a bit. So you got to constantly stay on top of it and stay on top of the management company to keep cash reserves and paint the building and maintain the railing and the stairs and elevator if you have any, etc. Number 9, many sellers have no profit or loss or any P&L statement or any financials. So you go to a seller and they tell you, well, not only can you not verify the expenses exactly what they tell you, but they don't have a statement. They don't have a management company doing it. So is that good? Is that bad? Well, you can take that to your advantage. You can practically take everything to your advantage if you know how to do it. For example, you can tell them, okay, well, based on the fact that I don't see the numbers, I want to run the property for a while with an option to buy, then I'll exercise my option. Well, that will ease your entry into the property ownership. Number 10, too much turnover. You got a lot of people coming, signing a lease for 6 months. 90 days later, they give you the problem of their life. Oh my gosh, I got terminated or I got relocated, etc., etc. And then you have to work it out with them to either just let them go or keep their deposit, etc. But there's a lot of turnover with these properties. So I want to get into the business model of the FACT system. I'm going to quickly go over the FACT system, which is finding great deals and good tenants, analyzing the property numbers and the local trend, controlling the process of negotiation and the contract, putting a property under contract, then timing the due diligence, which is the inspections, and the financing, which you can get from regular banks, hard money lenders, or you can create your own syndication, which is group investing, as you know. And then you want me to talk about how to strategize, how to manage profitably, and how to take the property to its highest and best use. That's where the big money is, how to take a property to its highest and best use. So let's talk about this, finding the property. There are a lot of websites. I'm going to just glance over this a little bit, but I'm telling you, generally speaking, I like to look at government sites. You can look at the FDIC site, you can look at the HUD.gov, you can look at auctions. Auctions, you need to require cash, but if you know what you're doing, you can actually go watch what the properties go for. It will give you a very good understanding of property values. An auction is the true and the best way to know what's happening in the market. You can talk to brokers. There are many websites for brokers, from Marcus Millichap to CMREI to Coldwell Banker, etc. You can join associations, and there is the Landlord Association, there is Apartment Owner Association. There are associations all over the country, and the reason you join these associations, a lot of people sell properties there, and it's great to talk to owners directly. It's good to talk to brokers and keep people in the know of the fact that you are actually looking for good deals, and you can tell people, I'm looking for, you know, a property with an upside, or a property that is running at X occupancy, or a Class A building that's really in top shape, or I'm looking for a horrible building that I can just turn around and take it to another level. I'm looking for a building with some drug dealers so I can, you know, work with them, get them out of there, and then take it to another level so I can get a great deal on the property. I mean, you know, it depends on your level of expertise and what you're trying to focus on. But I like to focus on for sale by owners. I've always found it fun and easier to deal with owners directly and do creative financing. So finding the property on many websites, and it's good to focus on an area close to you first, to start looking at what you have in your own backyard before you branch out to Dallas, Texas when you live in New York, or, you know, go from Calgary, Canada to Miami. But I have no problem for commercial real estate to be done anywhere in the world practically, but always start with your own backyard and then start expanding your searches. So let's talk about finding tenants. Well, so if you get a property, how do you find tenants? Well, the talk to the existing tenants first of all. Don't discount these guys. Maybe give them an incentive for referring somebody at work or a friend or a cousin. It's always nice to have people referring people. That's the greatest endorsement. Don't neglect putting a sign in front of a property. I can't tell you how many apartment buildings need tenants, and they just put a little sign inside. Come on, check the signage laws, put a sign outside, and put a number where you're available, or put a website or an email where there is pictures of the inside, etc. And you set an appointment, be there, make sure there is access, put a combination lockbox, give them access so they can see it. Actually, I have a student that did an open house on his apartment building and rented the 3 units he had. He did the open house and put signs, open house, open house, open house, rental, 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 and people came in and rented the 3 units in one weekend. So why not think outside the box? Now, how else do you find tenants? Churches. Put signs in the churches, in grocery stores, office break rooms, local schools, etc. Ask, and people, can I put a sign here, etc. Put ads in the newspaper, put, of course, online. Exhaust all your options online. There is so many websites. There are so many websites you can put advertisements for free. And if you can load up some pictures, be generous with the pictures. Put as many photos as you can. Let them know that, you know, the more you tell, the more you sell, or I should say, the more you rent. And talk to real estate agents. So what? Give a commission. Talk to management companies. Tell them, I have this type of property. I have this. I'll give you a referral. It's a one-time deal. Talk to other landlords. Maybe they have a list of extra people. Give them a referral and reciprocate. It's not all competition out there. If you can cooperate, you can grow your business very quickly. Now, let's talk about analyzing the numbers. So you found a good building, you're confident, you can actually get tenants. So you want to know if the numbers make sense. Well, what you're really looking for when you're doing the quick analysis to see if you can make an offer, then dig deeper in the analysis and the due diligence, is you want to know what the price is in the selling price, meaning versus the value of the property. So you want to know the comparable cap rates. Cap rate is the capitalization rate. Let's say somebody wants $1 million and they tell you the building nets 10%. So the net operating income is 100,000. So that building cap rate is 10%. So let's repeat this. Somebody wants $1 million and the building is netting 100,000. So the cap rate is 10%. So if you have a capital of 1 million and paid cash for the building, you'll be netting 100,000. Now every year if you increase rent, you'll be netting a little bit more. If you take that building and you decrease expenses and increase a little bit rent, and you bring to the bottom line an extra $10,000, in the value of the building itself, it moves up 10 times, which is 100,000. You see? So comparable cap rates for recent sold and current listings. So what you want to know is you can actually call brokers and ask them, how much did the apartment building at XYZ zip code sold for? Do you have any that sold in that area? Yes, we have one that sold at $1.5 million. Well, what was the cap rate? Well, it was 11%. Wow, that means that building was netting 11%, not 10. So now the building you're looking at, if they're asking $1 million on 100,000, you're going to tell them, no, I want to pay only 900, based on comparable cap rates. So the formula is pretty simple, and we help students to do it. I mean, we have fantastic coaching. We do phone coaching for students that actually need some guidance on this analysis. So you know what to pursue and what not to pursue. We show you ways that within minutes you can decide whether this property is worth pursuing or not. We do the phone coaching. We've done it for many students from all over the country. And if you want to do it from your own home to move forward on a property, you have the coaches available for you. If you want field mentoring, somebody to actually get you into a place where you can see how we buy the buildings, what I have handpicked coaches and investors. I have Jerry Green, for instance, that will show you how to do it. But the quick analysis on the numbers is very important. For instance, you also want to see the comparable sales per unit and that have sold in the area. So this one sold at 1 million and it was 10 units, so that's 100,000 a unit. So how big were these units versus the one I'm buying? And then you want to see what current listings are selling for. And that's not so difficult because I just gave you websites of where you can find properties, and you see what else is selling in the area. And once you do some analysis on an area and you focus on what you're looking for, it's going to pop. It's going to stand for you the properties that are good deals. You want to look for replacement cost. Well, what's replacement cost in California versus replacement cost in Wisconsin? Well, guess what? The land in California is a lot more expensive, so replacement cost there will be higher. So you look at land value also to understand if I'm getting a good property price, is there a good opportunity to do some work with it? So what else is for sale and at what price is always key for you to understand if what you have at a glance is a good deal or not. Now also look at how long the property sat on the market. That's the quick analysis. You can ask the seller, hey, how long did this sit in the market? And you can see it. Sometimes websites show you 100 days or whatever. And that could be for many reasons. Maybe the seller is not flexible. Maybe the property has problems, it doesn't show very well. Maybe it had some turnover, etc. So the quick analysis to know is, hey, this property, based on what they're asking, the numbers make sense, it's cash flowing nicely, I am interested. All right, so cap rate from recent sold and listings, and look at the location. What's happening? Is there employment in the area? Good employers, good schools, good universities. College grads look to rent always. I'm always looking for employers. There was an area in Los Angeles that had a very high vacancy in apartment buildings. Next thing you know, 2-3 big employers came in, and the vacancy factor just went to 0. So all the rents went up, homes started selling, so employment is huge. I want to always look for 20 plus. I like the 25. That's a good critical mass. You don't want to deal with deferred maintenance. You don't want to get a property that they did not fix the roof, they did not paint the outside, did not fix the railing, etc. Because then you got issues. And if it's older than 30 years, you better make sure they have maintained it right and you don't have electric or plumbing issues. So we're going to talk about that when we do the big inspection due diligence. And then you look, when you analyze the numbers, for the potential. Can I reposition this property by upgrading it? Can I improve the tenants? Can I get a better mix of tenants there that actually will not be like 1 bedroom, 1 bath, individual, single people? Maybe I can open a couple units together and get families, so there will be more stability there, or maybe furnish some units, etc. All you're seeking is to improve the net operating income, and that could be done by increasing the income or by decreasing expenses, or doing both. So that's your goal. So they also analyze the trend. You want to know where is the trend going in that market, and there are many websites that you can go to, rcaanalytics.com, APT, which is apartmentresearch.com, and there are many brokers that will help you. I like to drive around and look. I like to see how many vacancies. I like to check and talk to apartment building managers. There is nothing like a personal visit to a property and ask, and then people could say things like, yeah, well, we had 6 units vacant, but now we only have 2. Or it could be the reverse. Well, we haven't had any vacancy last year, but now we have 2 and we have 1 more leaving. People start talking. You just got to know how to set the mood for them to open up. So Builder Online will give you the general trend of apartment buildings in a specific area. Marcus Millichap does a report. But let me give you a general trend right now of what's happening in the market 2013 and so on. Generally speaking, 7% cap, and the price of apartment buildings will continue increasing. Actually, in California, you can buy apartment buildings where the cap rate is 4 or maybe even 5%. That means on $1 million that you pay, you're not getting 100,000, 10%. The building will be netting 50,000. Yep, it's that expensive because the land is very expensive, and there is just a good increase in rentals right now as less and less foreclosures appear in the market and are getting turned into residential homes occupied by owners or renters. You need to buy based on the actual cash flow of the property and its potential to taking it to its highest and best use. Meaning, if the property is operating at, let's take a property, let's say, outskirts of Austin, Texas, running at 70% occupancy. You cannot buy it based on its potential, paying for what's coming next. You pay for what you have now. And if it's 10% cap and it's netting now X, that's what you pay for it. That's your offer. If you can even lowball it, if they are desperate, you do that because you make your money coming in, you make your money staying in, you make your money doing something to improve it. So don't ever pay based on pro forma, meaning the future number. You pay now based on actual, and you make it work for the future number so you can sell it and make money. And high foreclosures right now have caused people to become renters. And what happened is you have a lot of renters that don't have the best credit. So there is a lot of compromising going on with landlords. But these people realize, hey, I lost my home, I better keep my rental. Because if they lose their rental, they'll not be like homeless, they will be homeless. So a lot of programs, Section 8, etc., you can work with, but focus on a good location so the trend can stay strong. Because you want to know what's driving the trend. If it's a school, university, good employer, good transportation, etc., you want to stay with apartment buildings where there is growth there and there's continuity. You want to avoid the age of the building. If it's too old and it has no deferred maintenance, the trend today is people are avoiding these buildings. You will not be able to flip it fast. You don't want something over 30 years old. If it is over 30 years old, it better be in good shape. Unless you're stealing it and you have extra cash to fix it. It's because you can get it at a good deal, but you don't have the money to fix it. So what have you done? You're stuck with a product that's mediocre. Now, also regarding trends, you want to add value right away. You start right away looking for how can I increase the income. Little vending machine, little laundry machine, little antenna, etc. I'll talk more about that later. So the trend is people looking to add income all the time. And there are many apartment buildings with potential for added value that people don't even explore at all. So you found a property, you know how to get tenants, you looked at the numbers and they make sense and it's an exciting property. So now you want to negotiate it and control it. You want to put it right there under contract. So there is something I call the ABC offer. The ABC meaning A for an all cash with huge discount. The guy wants $1 million. I'll tell you what, I'll give you $700,000 all cash. You also present a B offer, which is best possible terms for the buyer. You know what? I'll give you the $1 million, but I need you to carry the note. I'm the buyer. I need you, the seller, to carry the note, right, at X%. And the C is a combination. I'll give you $950. But I need to get a loan for $700,000. Need you to carry $300 or $250. See, now you do a combination. When you present an offer that's A, B, and C, you're really telling the seller not take it or leave it, but choose one. And when you start with that discount at $700 on $1 million building, it's an insult. But then you got the other one, which is the price they want with the terms you want, and the third, the combination. Then you got something to talk about. The idea is to establish a communication line and maintain it and grow it. And you do the negotiation based on 3 things. Build rapport with the people first, talk about the property second, and then the price and terms. Don't jump right into price and terms when you haven't built rapport with the people. Heck, if you're selling a watch in an expensive store, let's say you're a watch salesperson, somebody walks in, you can't just tell them, oh, this watch is $3,000. No. You're going to start saying, how are you? So you're visiting town? Oh, this is your trip. Oh, what's the occasion? You build rapport, then you talk about the watch, then you talk about the price. Same for real estate if you're selling residential. Same if you're buying an apartment building. So you have a plan, which is buying the property or selling the property, whatever it is. The game is done also in reverse. Okay, and you can execute the plan if you set the right climate for it. So now let's talk about number 2 thing I want to talk about for the negotiation and a contract. Every contract you're going to do for an apartment building really gives you 3 things. Number 1, you want access to the property. That's all you care for. You want access to the property. Number 2, you want the package of disclosures. What did they do? Did they do the inspections? Did they have the backup for all they paid for utilities, this and this, all that stuff? You want the package of disclosures. That means all what they have to disclose to tell you about the property. And number 3, you want the contingency period to cancel your purchase agreement with no obligation. What's the contingency period? It's the period during which you do the inspections, you do the due diligence, but you're under no obligation to purchase because you have a condition, which is the property has to meet my need. my desires. And usually you can have from 30 all the way to 60 days. It depends how flexible you could be with the seller. And I often like to deal with private owners because they can work with me a bit closer. Sometimes I find brokers that are really good and they're very creative and they're just a perfect balance. They can talk to me and tell me, here what we can do. They talk to the seller and say this, or vice versa. If I'm, trying to sell a property and the buyer has a broker, they try to convince me in certain ways by showing me certain things. So I don't discount anybody. I like first to deal with the sellers directly. Second, I like to deal with the brokers. And third, I like to actually try to attract them by actually placing the ad for people and instead of pursuing them, just attracting them. I am looking for X, Y, and Z. Then they call me. So let's talk about the contract itself. That's the best part for the negotiation. I try to do a lease with an option to buy. Often apartment buildings owners don't know how would you lease it with an option to buy. Well, I will collect the rent, I'll make you the payment, I want an option to buy, I'll give you some extra money that goes toward the option. If I don't buy, you keep the option money. Well, this gives me access to the property. Another way to do it is try to manage first the property. I mean, tell them I'd like to manage it, I'd like to be with you to see it, or make an offer based on the net profit. Just show me the net profit, show me the real expenses, show me the current income. Here is my offer. It's a multiplier of X, 10 times the net or something like this, maybe 15 times the net. In California, it's 16 times the net. Structure a creative financing deal with seller carry back. I like to tell the seller, okay, carry a note. Carry so much. When I sell buildings, I like to carry notes. When I sold apartment building, I did a wraparound mortgage. I wrapped the whole building in one note. And they didn't even have to go to the bank. I sold it faster, at a better price, better terms, and they were happy. Of course, I took a second guarantee, which is a property they had. So if they default, not only do I get my property back, but I actually have something extra to get. But they were happy because they didn't have to spend their money as down payment. They took their money and spent it in the building, improving it. And then they flipped it and paid me off. So it's a matter of creativity here, and that's just extremely, extremely powerful to have the proper training to be able to be creative. The entire game is based on knowledge, creativity, and ability to communicate clearly with others. Knowledge, creativity, and ability to communicate clearly. So buy time. When you're going to buy a property, buy time. So I skipped number 5 here, I'm sorry. If it's a conventional deal where you put a down payment, get a loan, etc., make sure you do the inspections. Anything you see in the inspection, renegotiate and get credit. And you want to delay the closing as much as possible. It usually works to your advantage because if you can also delay the closing and go into the property to do some repairs and whatever, wow, you'll be way ahead of the game. At no risk to the seller, with no liability to them. You can even get an extra liability rider for what you will do under your name. So there are just many creative ways to negotiate that. You want to gain access to improve before buying at no risk or cost to seller. Now, when I am selling the property, I'm always looking for another buyer that is coming from a 1031 exchange. So that's when I use brokers. Hey, do you have somebody selling a property looking for another one? 1031 exchange is when the seller doesn't want to pay taxes, so they do an exchange. They just exchange their property. Instead of cashing out the profit, they roll it forward to acquire another property of equal or higher value. They have to identify one of 3 properties within 35 days and close within 45 days and close within an additional 135 days. So total 180 days. When people are in a 1031 exchange buying your own property, it's a great thing because they're in a hurry to buy and they prefer not to negotiate too much and lock in the deal instead of paying taxes. So because they have these time limits. And sometimes when I'm buying, I'm looking for that seller that actually wants to roll his or her money forward to another property. Then they don't delay me. They don't play games. They're just anxious to move forward as well. So I also, when I buy, I use part of the negotiation, the contract. I say, listen, I want to see each estoppel. That means the actual sheet that is attached to the lease that says that, apartment A is leased by this person. They put so much, and the actual tenant signs it. It just avoids any misunderstandings, and it shows me how much deposits I will be getting at closing and how much money is coming and how long the tenants have stayed, etc. And you got to see always if you can take overpayments with the wraparound mortgage. mortgage. If the seller doesn't know, sometimes you educate them and you show them and you tell them. We've had situations where we guided the students step by step to negotiate a deal, and they closed on the property with no money down. Now, there aren't that many no money down deals in commercial real estate. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the reason in apartment buildings you can do apartment building no money down is quite often a lender can come in and give you so much, a seller can carry so much, and then you have credit from the actual property, from the rent deposits. If you close, let's say on the 3rd of the month, you get all the rent for the building, you get all the deposits for the building. So all this makes it like a no money down, even though you're putting some money down. Now, let's talk about timing the process. You're going to do a due diligence, and it's basically 3 parts. Property inspection for the condition, the financing, which is the income and expenses, okay, how is that happening, and the legal documents, what kind of title, is it a clear title, how many liens there are, etc. Due diligence, there are companies that will do that for you. redadvisor.com is a good company, and they have a small program, like they can charge you so much per door, and they have an in-depth program where they can go in and tell you the carpet is so many years old, it's going to cost so much to change it, and you're going to change it in 2 years, etc. And there are apartment consultants, etc. Not difficult to do property condition and inspections. These people come in and they tour the property. They can actually give you a 5-year history of capital improvements. They can tell you what termite problems you have, the building, roof, electric, plumbing, mechanical. Inspection is a must. And the financials are not so difficult. You just get the P&L, profit and loss statement. You want to go back 3 years, look at the taxes. Tell them, I want to see the taxes, property taxes, and the taxes that the owner filed. You want to look at all the lease agreements. You want to look at the market surveys if they have done any. If not, you do your own survey. And there are companies that will do that for you professionally. So legally, title company, you can even have an attorney or a broker go through some basic stuff. There is something called a CLU, which is the Comprehensive Liability Underwriting Exchange. So you can check with the insurance company, were there any problems in this building, shootings, fires, problems like this. And you can take over the insurance. You can talk to the same insurance to transfer it over to you. And look at any vendor contracts, any personal property inventory, any issues or any lawsuits or anything like this. And all this must be disclosed anyway by the seller, and the title company will guide you through it, because they will show you that is, you can get the clear title if they pay off this and that. Not so difficult. So timing the financing is key. You can start by talking to local banks, talk to large banks, talk to brokers that specialize in this particular type of commercial properties like apartment buildings. Talk to hard money lenders. Advertise for cash buyers to see if they will come in as partners, or maybe flip to them as investors, or maybe get the investors together and create your own syndication, whereby you tell them, syndications, you get, let's say, 5-6 people, you create a private placement memorandum through an attorney, you present to accredited investor. These people have to have a net worth that is higher, and you tell them, I'll do all the work, here is the property, here's how it's done. So financing, here's what's out there now. Banks are looking for 80% minimum occupancy, debt coverage ratio 1.25 minimum, meaning if the property is making 12,500, your payment should not be more than 10,000. Okay, so for every 125 in income, you want 100 in payment. So actually, you even have some lenders that requires 1.5. So that's a big deal. Now the good thing is there are a lot of lenders that do 60-day rate lock. So you can see the rate, lock it for 60 days. A lot of them don't like to do that, but quite a few do it. We've helped many students find the right lenders with that. But I tell you, look in your own backyard. Talk to local banks first. Talk to credit unions. You have amortizations. You can get loans for 15 to 30 years. They're mostly 20 years right now. And you can fix the rate 3, 5, 7, 10, or 15 years. Usually the rate is fixed for 5 right now. I'm finding more and more students able to finance 20% down, 5-year fixed, 20-year amortization. They accept seller concession on purchase 3%, meaning the seller can do a kickback of 3%. Lenders don't have a problem with that. More than 3%, it looks wrong, it looks fishy, banks don't like it. 10%, it could be carried by the seller. It's allowed, but it's case by case. And if you have a mixed-use commercial downstairs and residential upstairs for the apartment building, they will accept 25% commercial use is fine to still give you a good deal on apartment building loans, because usually the lenders that do apartment buildings just prefer for the whole thing to be an apartment building. Again, maximum loan to value, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but it's 80%. I don't see any more than 85 or 90, and there is usually a step down prepayment, meaning if you sell the property within the first year, you may have 3 points prepayment. If you sell it in the second year is 2 points, third year is only 1 point, fourth year they waive it, things like that. So that's just the financing today. And what's your strategy? Well, get good management company, get a referral, make sure they have references. There is a website called allpropertymanagement.com. Check them out. The spelling of management is missing an E here, M-E-N-T at the end. Make sure they have references, they have a good website, and work with them. Tell them, show me how you report the numbers. I want to see how you will show me the occupancy, how you will actually show me the numbers, how you're going to track the expenses, and then create a meaningful incentive with them. Then you will have a great management company working for you. Maybe even give them the incentive. If you help me run it at 80% plus, and I keep the net X, and I improve it by Y and Z, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the listing when I turn around and sell it. So strategize, take the property to its highest and best use. There are so many ways to make money with apartment buildings. You can change the layout, you can split it, you can turn it into condos, you can rezone the building into mixed use. I've seen somebody take an apartment building in Palo Alto, California and change it into a medical building, medikilling. You can put cell phone towers on top. You can put billboards on the side if the city allows you. You can add parking spaces. You can create an exercise room to increase the rent because there are more amenities. You can add security. You can add cameras and tell them we're doing this. You can create a daycare. You can, if you're having elderlies, you can start using it more like assisted living and transfer it into that. You can create rebate programs for them if they stay longer. You can avoid the noise by creating double pane windows, add value, convert rooms, create maybe sections for American with Disability Act, which is the ADA compliance thing. Maybe allow pets, maybe allow an area for barbecues, create a community for them. I can go on, but I think you got the idea on improving. So conclusion, I want you to follow the FACT system. How to find, analyze, control, time, and strategize, and buy based on current cash flows and potential of the property based on its highest and best use. Now, your job is to take it to its highest and best use as soon as possible and time your resale to roll over your money into a bigger and a better property. And then scale your business through a syndication. Once you do 1 or 2 deals, come on, get the investors, get the excitement going, and get people to come with you and help others grow with you. There are a lot of people that want to start and need some guidance. And what we do is we help these people get started and we show them the way. And when you see the way, you can create your own network of people and then you also help them. You can maybe invest their money or maybe help them by coaching them through it and create your own network of success. So we talked about the definition of apartment buildings, the concept itself, the business model of how to do it. We talked about the application for success, taking prudent action to maximize results and minimize mistakes. So what do I do? Cherif, Medawar Real Estate Investing. We educate people, we do training, we give support, we do the phone coaching, we do private mentoring, we do the investing. How will that benefit you? Well, you can attend online training that we have on the website. You can come to my live events. I'll have one in coming up in Sacramento in just a few weeks. There are constantly live events you can check on the website. You can get support on phone coaching. That is extremely powerful. This happens immediately. People want to start right away, and that's the way to start. You can get field mentorship to invest right away. I have people that say, I want to go to where the investors have done deals. I want to see the deal they chose. I want a model to follow. And I have people that say, you know what, Cherif, I want the mentor to come to this town where I want to do the deal. We have that as well. So, or you can invest with me. And I do a lot of notes where I deal with the banks and I see for non-performing commercial notes on apartment buildings. Maybe somebody owes, I don't know, 2.5 million on an apartment building. I go to the bank and I say, well, if it's non-performing, I'd like to offer you 1.5 million. Then I buy it at a discount. It's a backdoor to foreclosure. But I know what I'm doing, and I know what I'm doing with the notes. I'm doing what I'm looking for in apartment buildings, and I know how to turn around and flip it. And a lot of students want to get in on this type of action, get in with me on them. So what should you do? I want you to call now in the bottom of the screen so you can actually get to know what we do and how you can participate in it. Because where do you go from here? See, I do the webinars. They're free of charge to cover all the stuff with you. We have the website that shows you the live training we've done. You have that online. These are live training with brainstorming sessions and feedback with a lot of questions and answers, and a test on each chapter, right? That is online. We even have a DVD set for you with so many different types of commercial properties. We cover all types, but my focus is on apartment building. And I have phone coaching that starts with $3,495. It is the lowest priced coaching in the country today. And I have the best coaches. And you know what? I have many different types of coaches. I can even group them to 2 types based on the students. I have some students that are introvert and quiet. Well, I have the coach that's going to say, have you made the offer? How are you feeling today? And that coach is going to work with you to massage you step by step until you go make the darn offer, negotiate the deal. We're going to help you through it. You make it happen. And I have some other students that are outgoing. They want to go and make it happen, and they need a little bit more energy, a little bit more kick in the butt, if you will. And these are the people when we call them and the coach says, hey, have you made an offer? Go make an offer. Send me the thing. And it takes a whole different level. Now, the reason I tell you this is a lot of people wonder, who do I have to be to go out there and make an offer? Be yourself. Be yourself. Let the numbers speak to you. Look at the numbers on the property. Have somebody help you, guide you through it. And I tell you, we're not taking everybody. We have a process. I can only take 10 to be coached through this program of apartment building coaching. And actually, I want you to look in the bottom of the screen now. You will email this number, this email, or you can call the number, because we're going to send you what's called a success sheet. I want you to fill it out and send it back within 24 hours. Don't sleep on it. And there is a test. It's a 3-page little exam there that I want you to take, because we want to tailor make the coaching or the mentoring, if you want mentoring, exactly to you, to get you from where you are to not just the next level, to the level of success. My end goal with each student that takes the coaching and the mentoring and attends the classes with me and takes it to another level is to give me a success story of I made money, not I enjoyed the training. I know you'll enjoy the training. Heck, who doesn't? It's a fun experience. I want results. So I can't work with a lot of people. I have my coaches. These guys are trained. These guys are experienced. I have field mentoring. Jerry Green, for instance, is handpicked. This guy is one of the best in the country. He does one-on-one. I coach people with him. We go on the phone. We go in the field. Jerry takes you by the hand if that's what you need. Jerry has his own apartment buildings. He has a crew with him, and he will show you how to start small and how to grow big. Jerry has been doing it for years. And Jerry amazes me. I mean, when I get on the phone with Jerry and we talk, he always adds value. He always has just the right angle of creativity, of knowledge, and great communication skills. So don't miss out the opportunity of getting phone coaching, field mentoring, or one-on-one training. Whatever you need is available. And of course, as you know, once a quarter, we take a group of about 10 to 12 people, and we do what is called the Puerto Rico Wealth Retreat. This is $30,000 for a couple, and it's in Puerto Rico, and it's me personally with the students for 4 full days, where I actually take you by the hand, literally show you how I acquired over 50 million of commercial buildings, and how I've actually transformed properties that were shut down into gorgeous hotels that are actually you're selling timeshares from them. You took buildings, made them office buildings. I created an office share condo concept. Just phenomenal stuff. and how you can take any of these concepts and apply them to yourself. And so that's what we do, and that's what I enjoy doing. I'm always out there coaching. By the way, this picture you see here on the screen is in Puerto Rico on a street called Cristo Street. The church in the back there is a historic church called the Miracle Church, because there was a miracle that actually happened there a few hundreds of years ago. It's a historic zone. The building that you see there, where there is a young lady standing in front of it, that's one of my historic buildings there. It's 23,000 square feet being transformed into luxury 10-suite hotel with an art center. So you can think outside the box. I thought of it being an apartment building. Then as I started to work, we realized we can make it a hotel. So we took it to its highest and best use. I walk the talk. The group with me makes it happen. I want you to look at this, own it. This is not a story out there somebody else is doing. This is something you can be doing. So with that, I want to wrap it up, and I want to take some questions. Ashley, are you with me?
I am. I'm here.
Okay, have there been any questions?
Yeah, we have quite a few. So the questions we may not have time to get to, I will email them personally and answer them. But we will start with Rhonda.
By the way, yeah, I'm sorry. Let me just say, I'm sorry that I did not mention the questions. You can actually write them always on the right side of the screen there, and it says questions. You just email them, and it just goes straight to Ashley, and then she tells me. So go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. What is the best way to understand values in my local market, like pricing of rents and property values?
Well, one of the best ways to know values is, you got to check the comps. You got to know the neighborhood. How do you do that? Drive around, see what's vacant, call and ask, how much is it for rent? How much is a condo selling for? The same size. Can go to the city planning and zoning department, ask them, can I split this apartment building into, will you allow me to rezone it into condominiums? Then each unit is 1,200 square feet, and you're going to buy this apartment building and it's 10 units, and you're going to buy it for $1 million. Okay, great, that's like 100,000 unit. But if the city planning and zoning department allows me to split them, and units of that size sell for 200,000, guess what? 200,000 times 10, I'll make $2 million. So all of a sudden, you start putting the pieces together. So how do you know values? You check the prices. You compare prices of condos versus apartments, apartment buildings versus apartment buildings, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for rent versus not a 2-bedroom, 1-bath for rent, the amenities in one building versus the other. And that's when you start seeing what I call the anomalies in the market. That's when that's when opportunities pop in front of you. But if you are not out there alert, aware, and focused, you can't make it. By the way, I want to mention something else. The way to measure competence is in someone's ability to stay focused. What's your attention on? When you put your attention on something, make sure you're focused on it and you get it done. And that's going to require 4 hours a week worth of work. And when I mean work, I mean research. You get on the website, on the internet, you drive around the neighborhood. That's why I say start with your own backyard. Okay, sorry, I went off on a tangent. What else?
Okay, Yen in Nashville said, what is the best part of the month to buy apartments?
Oh, well, to buy, try to close in the first week of the month, because you're going to get all the rent that was paid for the month, because rent is paid in advance. It's going to be credited in your account in escrow as you close. All the deposits are going to come to you, and that's going to really help your closing cost. And I would further say that when you turn around and sell, also sell around the same date, because it doesn't matter for you. You're going to turn it over to the next person anyway. So why milk it? Pass on that favor to the next buyer and use that to help you negotiate, to show goodwill and good faith. All right, what else?
Taylor in Stuart, Florida said, should I focus on apartments or duplexes? I'm a brand new investor.
You know what? This is a very good question. A lot of people don't know how small they should start and how big they should think. So how small can you start? Well, it has to do with a lot of things. It has to do with your personality, with the time you have available, it has to do with the money you have, and with the kind of support you're getting. So I always say start by knowing yourself. So do a self-analysis, do an analysis of the others around you, who's going to support you, who you're going to work with, and do an analysis of the situation itself. Those are the three elements you got to know. But if you ask me, I always say if I'm going to do the work on a duplex, 2 units, which is how I started with a duplex. But that was the opportunity at hand. Well, the next thing, I didn't want to go fourplex and then apartment building. The next deal was a huge apartment building. So there is nothing wrong with starting small. But by golly, once you figure out the system and you automate it and you know exactly what you're doing, you don't have to think about it like every single step. Now you have a formula, a proven system. You can scale it very big. So help us help you by knowing who you are, because if you're going to call one of the coaches, we want you, the reason we tell you fill out the success sheet, go through the test, and then send it to the coach within 24 hours, because the coach is going to know exactly where you're going to start. You're going to start with a duplex, or you know what? No, you should start with a small rental. Or you, sir, ma'am, you should start with a 10-unit building. And in your own backyard, we got some things to talk about. So that's the answer.
All right. Zach asked, is there money in managing an apartment building?
Is there money in managing an apartment building? It's not a bad way to start and gain experience. I worked in hotel business for years, so I got to learn hotels from the management point of view. Then I grew out of that into I can own a hotel, I can develop a hotel, etc. So yes, I am all for the concept of get your hands dirty, if you will, and become a manager, but it doesn't have to linger on for several months. I mean, you can manage a building for just a few months to get the feel of it, etc., and make some money, but there isn't that much money in managing. The money is in owning. So just go to managing an apartment building to know the process if you want to do that. But remember, if you know how, you will have a job. If you know why, you will actually be the boss. So you want to know a little bit of the how it's done, but remember, you can hire the best management companies and compare them and do reports. So don't get too much into working in the business, work on the business.
All right. Teek asked, can I get the slides you reviewed tonight? I need the websites and the due diligence.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Ashley, we have a whole due diligence, as you know, a checklist of due diligence. Why don't we send it to all the attendees? We have their emails, right?
Yes, I have everybody, so I'll send that out tonight.
Okay, good. Let's please send everybody the checklist of the due diligence. You know, I have a lot of blogs, guys. I have a lot of blogs on many of these subjects, and I go into details and situations. Those of you that are members on the website, which I think probably 90% on this call are members of the website, you heard my stories, and I give a lot of examples of my own deals on apartment buildings, etc. You can view these online. But also, Ashley, if you could send them the link of the success stories from the coaching and the field mentoring from Jerry Green, so everybody gets to see. It's like a 3-4 minute clip, but it's really well worth seeing the success stories of the people.
Okay. Next question from Sam. Are there notes on apartment buildings?
But absolutely. I love these mortgage notes. Of course, any type of building where people went and borrowed, when there is a problem, you have an opportunity. I mean, success comes from turning challenges into opportunities. It's just not for everybody, because a lot of people don't know how to think creatively, because they're not trained, because they are not able to understand the basics of what they're doing. So yes, there are notes on apartment buildings, and those of you that have money and want to participate in the notes I buy, I usually have students that come in $50,000 to $100,000 to participate in these notes. So we buy a note, like right now we're looking at a note, $2.5 million we can get for a lot less. And I buy them directly. I buy them either from my private fund, MixIF, or I buy them directly with my money. And you can easily make 10% on your money. You can make maybe 15, sometimes even 18%. It all depends. So you can buy them if you know what you're doing. If you need the training on this, we can show you how to do it. Actually, Jerry has done quite a few apartment notes. Jerry Green, the coach.
All right, John in Sacramento asked, can you explain what a furnished condo is?
Okay, furnished condos, now this is a concept, I even used it in Puerto Rico now in some of my buildings there. And the reason I have a cluster of properties over there in Puerto Rico is because it's next to the cruise ships, so it's a destination property. next to where the cruise ships dock. So I took some condos I've had and I furnished them. And if you take an apartment building and you just furnish the condos, if you're in an area like Silicon Valley, like Santa Clara or San Jose, California, I mean, you can command a much higher rental income. And right now there are a lot of websites that actually help you rent online, and they pay you online. All you have to do is make sure somebody gives them the key, make sure when they leave somebody actually goes in and cleans, so you have to have some type of service. But I can tell you, if you buy an apartment building in a destination location like Orlando, Florida, if you buy something in Las Vegas, if you buy something in maybe in a not destination location as in vacation, but somewhere where it's a business center like in San Francisco or in San Jose or Austin, right next to the heart of the business area for the high tech, you can actually furnish these condos and sell them per night and make a killing. I mean, I tell you, I had a condo, I was renting it for $2,500 a month. That was a very nice furnished condo. Then I decided to furnish it but rent it per night and put it on websites. And now we're making $4,800 a month. Yes, the expenses are about $800, but that's just $1,500 more. I mean, you don't have to go buy another place to do that. So that's yeah, that's really a very nice trend if you have a good apartment building, but it's not everywhere, it's not for everyone.
All right, Cherif, we've hit our mark. I can't take any more questions, but I will answer the rest that we have by the end of the night. So I appreciate you sending the questions in.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm glad you paid attention to what we're talking about. We wish you the best. Remember, you can always do these on your own with the training. You can do them with me if you want to join me, or you can create your own network and make it happen. Either way, at any level, I always want you to know what you're doing. So get the maximum training. Take advantage of our phone coaching. It's limited to 10 people at this time, just so we can see the results and start working with you to get success stories. If you want the field mentoring, we can take you by the hand. If you want one-on-one, we do those in your own backyard. And I hope you can come to one of my Puerto Rico wealth retreats so I can get to know you better. If none of this is for you, you don't have to worry about it. Just go back and watch TV again tonight and enjoy life.